Hey, so continuing on the time zone stuff for remote work and whatnot. So basically, the companies will want some overlapping time zones for their remote work, right? So, for example, if it's a US company and they want to hire someone from India, they'll have to think about a few things. For example, one is the overlapping time zone. For example, US and India has a lot of time zone gap. So if someone in the US tries to talk to someone in the like in India, probably when it's morning for the US, it'll be night for India, and if when it's morning for India, it's going to be night for the US people, right? So it's going to be hard to actually find a good time for people to talk in case they want to actually have a talk. But if it's not like frequent communication, it's fine, especially synchronous communication. And if it's more asynchronous, okay. The other thing being, can the US company actually hire someone from India? Are they legally bound by something that disallows them or like restricts them from hiring someone in India and whatnot, right? So those stuff is also there. So though the talent pool is limitless, yes, it can become tricky to actually work remotely and hire remotely and whatnot, and have people working globally. So it can be tricky. So a lot of companies like to keep costs low, for example, or even exploit by hiring in low-income countries while also providing opportunities for the people in those countries, right? Which also includes India. Like India, a lot of it is like low income. A lot of the places are low income. India is popularly kind of like a low income country, though there are a lot of jobs that do pay a lot. But compared to US, I think it's because the cost of living is different in the US, so they do pay a lot. But accordingly, they do actually have to pay a lot for their cost of living. But in India, depending on where you live, how you live, your cost of living is pretty low or pretty high. It depends, right? The city, the which city you're in and whatnot, how urban it is and how costly it is to live, the real estate, the rent and whatnot, right? And the cost of transportation and whatnot. And the cost of groceries and whatnot. But packaged food is the same cost in India mostly because of MRP, which is actually a concept in India which is called maximum retail price. You can't price the package or the packaged item more than that. Though a lot of companies want to exploit the low income countries by hiring for low cost or to keep costs low in general, because a lot of people in other countries, for example, someone is hiring from the US, probably someone from say Kenya might be okay to get a low pay, or might just think that whatever low pay they are getting compared to the US pay is probably really high, because in Kenya it's a really high pay, right? So, but it has its own pros and cons. For example, someone in Kenya might be like, then they'll be like, okay, then let's not go to Kenya companies at all, right? Like they'll be like, okay, let's just apply to this company, US company. And the problem is that the US company will probably then not get enough people from US itself, because US people will be like, you're paying so much for the Kenya people, you'll probably have to pay a lot more than to the US people, because you're actually paying them a lot, right? So it really depends, or you pay based on talent and not just simply pay some random amount of money. Ideally, people pay based on talent, skills and whatnot, and experience and whatnot, and what people bring to the table, right? The opportunities and the ideas and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, a lot of companies do like to actually exploit low cost hiring by hiring in other places globally, where the cost of living is low, the pay is low and whatnot, the salary is low. For example, India, right? But of course, they are also providing, while also providing like opportunities. So they are providing opportunities to people who are in these countries or areas where the cost of living is low, the income is low, right? And yeah, I mean, hiring remotely can come at a cost though. Apart from the low cost that you think, it's not just the cost of actually the cost of like paying this person some amount of money as salary, right? It's not just that cost, that's just the money cost. There's also some indirect money cost that comes with actually hiring remotely, right? They need to understand that too. Like people who hire remotely, the companies that do hire remotely need to understand that too, especially the small companies. The big companies are pretty smart. They know that hiring globally comes at a cost, right? For example, time zone gap and whatnot. Overlapping time zones only will have better synchronous communication over calls and whatnot.